Hi, welcome to the final week of ED 1440, Module 6, and this is where you continue on with the theme of inclusion and diversity. And this is about supporting Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children within technologies education in the early years. So last week you looked at particular foundational understandings of what inclusion is and what diversity is, and this week we're focusing particularly on Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children with technologies which is also a key learning outcome of the subject. So there's a wealth of information out there available for you to learn and support Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children in technologies education, and it's really important that you do remain current with available literature and resources, and I identify this as a key policy agenda within all years of schooling, even in university. So it's about planning for diverse learning needs as you incorporate technologies education in your classroom. It's a really rewarding experience to cater your lessons for individual needs, and it's imperative that you access and you know what's out there in terms of digital and non-digital technologies within your planning for teaching in this key area. The Australian Curriculum Student Diversity document or link is a really effective starting point for you to identify some key resources to support you in your planning and teaching for diverse learners. It also helps you with your metacognitive tasks this week, so keep that in mind. I know I said this last week, but as this is the final week, I really expect that you know when and where your exam is. It's important that you've got a study plan mapped out, and please stick to it. But don't forget to eat and breathe and sleep as well. So start now reviewing these module materials, the key readings, the Zoom agendas, your individual metacognitive tasks and your group tasks, and identify the key themes that you need to study. So this week the learning guide really further unpacks our guiding frameworks and policies in terms of supporting Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children in our early years classroom. So please go back and reflect on what inclusion and diversity means and what it means here. So why the focus on this particular group of students? It's because there's a significant achievement gap between the educational achievements of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children and non-Indigenous students in areas such as literacy, numeracy, attendance, Year 12 completion and so forth. And therefore, as an early childhood educator, you've got a really vital role in helping these children develop really strong foundational understandings that they can take with them through their whole schooling life and beyond. Our policy documents specifically state about including all children's social, cultural, linguistic diversity. This is about different styles of learning, different abilities or disabilities, gender, family circumstances and geographic location in your decision-making processes. It's about very clear statements what to do in relation to history and culture and ongoing contribution of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and perspectives to Australian life and culture. It's about having respect for diversity as a key principle and cultural competence as a key practice. So knowing the principle and then enacting it in practice. Also helping you here as part of the Early Years Learning Framework is the Educator's Guide to the Early Years Learning Framework, and I really can't stress enough how much you should engage with this document and look at it now. So as I said, the Australian curriculum also gives special consideration to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander histories and cultures to ensure all young Australians are given the opportunities to gain deeper understanding and appreciation of histories and cultures, their significance for Australia and the impact they have, continue to have and will have on our world. It's a cross-curriculum priority which indicates the government's strong commitment to these issues as part of the bigger picture of every child's needs and every child's learning within Australia. The Queensland Kindergarten Learning Guideline continues this theme and promotes learning about Indigenous ways of knowing, being and learning, contexts in which Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people live, and Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people's contributions to society and culture, past, present and future. So when you embrace diversity as an early childhood teacher, you explore and build your own and your others' cultural competence. It's about making connections, it's about acknowledging and valuing different cultural heritage, exploring relationships within Australia, and how society and how ways have impacted, continue to impact, and what you can do about it to help improve educational outcomes for all young people. So within an early childhood learning setting, there are lots of resources around, both online and that you can visit, which can really help you develop a really good repertoire of practices for your technologies classroom and teaching and learning with and for and about Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultural children, histories, futures, practices, contexts, worldviews, languages and knowledges. So it's important that specific areas of interest that may be about understanding that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people and children will be adept perhaps at using more than one language. It's about thinking about the profound differences between home languages and standard Australian English. And it's all about also understanding about put in the learning guide about what some research have said about how some Indigenous people have felt when they've entered schooling in Australia. So how does this relate to technologies education? Well, there's a whole lot of resources there to help you consider for use for planning for learning in technologies classroom. It's about embedding effective perspectives, and it's about supporting diverse learners in general in education in our technologies classroom. So it's about knowing your learners, assisting children with their difficulties, differentiating the curriculum. So that's a wide range of teaching techniques, and adapting your lessons to instruct it or teach or learn with a really diverse group of students. And it's really important that how you plan for the diverse needs in your classroom is really individualised. Be careful when you're generalising. Please don't, and I do notice this at university and beyond, that the language you use in your assignments and in your planning can be a real reflection of how children could be perceived in your classroom. So it's not about lower level students or higher level students. It's about or giving basic work. It's about students with particular learning needs and catering work to their level, because it's not basic for particular students. So it's about assisting children and thinking about paying particular ways to your teaching and learning in terms of, are your resources kinesthetic? Do they allow for cooperative modes of learning? Can you repeatedly use them? Can you extend on them? How is the technologies education focused in there and foregrounded in diverse ways? So there's a whole lot of resources there for you to really put this all together. And there's also, your task this week is to actually respond to some inclusion examples. So your class will be made of many more than just 4 children, but in this scenario response this week, you've been given 4 children each with diverse learning needs, and you want to identify their strengths, their areas requiring support, and also resources available to support inclusion. So thinking about digital and non-digital. So one of the readings this week is also through the digital library, so you will access that through the little red icon that's just above your learning guide in Learn JCU. So your reading guide and your learning guide this week will really help you develop further understandings of how you can foster inclusive practices and value all children within your classrooms. Thanks, bye.